The Circuit. It's been a favorite backpack of many thru hikers and so many others out there. And it's made by Ultralight Adventure Equipment, otherwise known more simply for their initialism, ULA. And they make their packs right here in the good old USA in my very own home state of Utah. Now ULA has been making packs for over 20 years now, starting up in 2001. They have built up quite a reputation for making high quality packs that are both durable and strong. And the Circuit is arguably the most versatile backpack in ULA's lineup. It seems to be their most popular seller. It's been a long time favorite for many. One might even call it their flagship pack. Heck, ULA even calls it their favorite child. Well, gee, is that very fair to its sibling backpacks like the Catalyst, the Ohm, and even the CDT? Yeah, sorry kiddos. In fact, over recent years, ULA Circuit has ranked as the most popular backpack among PCT thru hikers, according to annual surveys conducted by the folks at Halfway Anywhere. But in the midst of so much competition, does the Circuit still live up to its hype? Keep watching and you be the judge. Now as for me, I purchased the Circuit about 2 years ago. And this pack has come with me on every trip since. Now that's included a lot of weekend adventure trips, but it's also included a week-long high route in the Wind Rivers of Wyoming. And I've had this pack out in a variety of environments and over different kinds of terrain. It's been under the sun and under the rain. It's been on and off trail. It's been up in high alpine mountain environments, and it's been down through some deep desert canyons. So I think I can give this pack a well-rounded review. And in this video, I'm going to be showing the many features that make this pack what it is, its tech specs, customization options, cost, what I've loved about this pack, and what I haven't. So, let's dive in. Starting things off with the top, it's got a roll top enclosure. That's pretty standard for most cottage brand lightweight and ultralight backpacks out there. Across the top of that closure is what I call an I-style compression strap, and that too is pretty standard for a good many backpacks out there. And what this is used for is not just cinching down the top of the pack, but it can also be expanded and used to hold larger items that you might not be able to fit into the interior of the pack. Things like this might include your sleeping pad, a tent, or even a bear canister, or if you're like me, I like to use it for my camp chair. Alright, opening up the inside for a look at the interior. Now the main compartment has a pretty spacious 40 liters of space. Now that only counts up to the frame. It does have an extendable collar that does give you almost 10 liters more. So you get a pretty generous 50 liters for holding the bulk of your gear. And it's even large enough to take on most every bear canister out on the market. However, with some of the taller, longer canisters, you probably will have to rotate it and rest it upright when placed inside the pack. At the top of the compartment, you'll find 4 accessory loops. These are used for clipping on accessory items like a hydration bladder sleeve or a stash pocket, available as add-on items from ULA. Along the top edge of the inside of the pack, you'll find a hydration hose port on either side. Also inside the interior of the pack, you'll find access to the pack's removable frame components, namely a suspension arch consisting of 2 carbon fiber poles connected by a very flexible material called Delrin and a single aluminum stay. Together, these parts serve as the pack's skeleton, both working together to provide structure to the body of the pack and support for your heavier loads. Now, as mentioned, both of these can be removed to allow the pack to become a frameless pack. Also helpful in case you need to reduce its size to take the pack on as a carry-on item on any airplane when traveling. The aluminum stay can also be bent a little bit to help conform it better to the curve of your back. Alright, now moving outside to the front of the pack here, you'll find a very large stowaway pocket. It is made of 4-way stretch lycra, and it is useful for storing some of those items that you're going to want quick access to throughout the day. Some of those items might include a rain jacket, a first aid kit, a water filter, or a sit pad, or especially perhaps your poop kit, among other things. Now across that pocket is a very long strip of shock cord. This is very good for holding like a wet tent. If you're going to pack out a wet tent and don't want to put it on the inside of your pack, or a wet tarp, things like that. And I have a lightweight pair of water and camp shoes that I find hold really well under that shock cord. So it can definitely be useful. On each corner of the front of the pack, you'll find a utility loop. Now these are obviously good for holding trekking poles or even an ice axe. Part of the design along the bottom of the pack is that it has a tapered bottom. This helps to direct the load more into the hips. Now on the outer sides of the pack, you'll also find what I've personally nicknamed the switchover compression system. And the cool thing about these straps is that they can be fastened horizontally or vertically. If going vertically, you'll connect them into the buckles of the roll top closure, and then they can be used to cinch down that roll top closure further downward. Or it can be switched over and used horizontally to apply more horizontal compression. Or you can expand them out and use them together to hold things like a sleeping pad, a tent, or sometimes I like to put in my fishing net in it if I'm going to be going out and doing a lot of fishing on the trip. Also along the sides at the bottom, you'll find a very spacious side pocket. And these pockets are not only big enough to take a standard size water bottle or even a Nalgene bottle, but they're big enough to take on a 1.5 liter smart water bottle and probably even a 2-liter bottle if you really wanted to squeeze one in there. But even with a larger water bottle, there's still room enough to fit in things like some tent poles or a fishing rod or anything of that nature. Or you could also fit in some snacks or a small water filter and anything else that you might be able to cram in there. Even a second water bottle. Also with the side pockets, there's a strip of shock cord run through the top rim or collar of the pocket, and it's got a little cord lock on it. And then moving up above those side pockets on either side, you also have a standard compression strap. Now, of course, these can be used to cinch down the load from front to back, but they can also be expanded out and used to support some of those taller items that you might place in your side pocket, again, such as tent poles or a fishing pole. All right, now let's look at the back of the pack here. First thing you'll find on the back, of course, is what makes it the backpack. It's shoulder straps. The straps come in a choice of J-cut or S-cut. We'll talk about more on that in the specs section. It also has D-rings, a D-ring on each of the shoulders near the top. These can be useful for clipping on small items to your shoulder like safety whistle or anything else really that you don't mind dangling on your shoulder. At the top of the shoulders, you'll find some functional load lifters. Now these not only help you to control and adjust the center of gravity, which is especially useful for transitioning between steep ascents and steep descents, but it's also good for helping to transfer some of that load off of your shoulders and into the frame and down to your hips, hence the name load lifters. Now behind the shoulder straps, you'll find a very padded back panel, and what gives cushioning and padding to that back panel is actually a removable foam pad. So with that in mind, being able to remove that foam pad along with the rest of the frame, you can actually get a truly frameless pack out of the circuit. So for those who may want to experiment with going fully frameless, you can do that. And then you have the hip belt. It's a nice padded hip belt with very large hip belt pockets, one on each side. And in those pockets, you'll find plenty of space to hold things like snacks, sunscreen, bug repellent, your phone, camera batteries, keys, wallet, and other odds and ends. And yes, even the hip belt is removable. In between the hip belt and the back panel, you'll find a load stabilizer strap on each side. You'll want to make sure that these are tensioned while wearing the pack because they will help to stabilize the lower half of the pack and bring that pack more into your back and onto your hips. Also, what I find to be a very useful feature of the hip belt is a V-strap buckle. So the really cool thing about this V-strap buckle is that it provides 4 points of adjustability, 2 on each side, allowing the hip belt to really grip and hug your iliac crest for a really snug and secure hold. And I find this really helps to hold that weight on your hips and to prevent any kind of slipping as you put on the miles on the trail, which can happen with some packs out there. All right, let's move on from the features and be nerds for a little bit here and talk technical specifications. So I'm going to start off with the total volume capacity. ULA lists the total capacity of the circuit to be 68 liters or 4,200 cubic inches if you round up. And then ULA further breaks this capacity down as follows. The main body, as mentioned before, is about 40 liters, or they specify 39.3 liters exact, which translates to 24 cubic inches roughly. Extendable collar, again, can give you a bit more space. ULA lists it at 8.2 liters or roughly 500 cubic inches. The front mesh pocket, they say, can take on 6.5 more liters of material. And I think that'd be really tight fit, but it is pretty stretchy fabric, so I'm not going to doubt that. And again, that's roughly 400 cubic inches. Then you have the side pockets, and ULA says that each side pocket is capable of supporting up to 6.5 liters. I find that hard to believe. I don't think I could fit 6.5 liters. I don't know if there's been a mistake made and they actually mean that combined, the both side pockets together can hold 6.5 liters, which I would actually find much more believable. But that's what they say on their site. And then their hip belt pockets, they say the hip belt pockets can hold about 1.5 or 1.6 liters on each side there. And again, I find that hard to believe. Would be much more believable if that's a combined capacity between both hip belt pockets. Either way, the math just doesn't add up there, however. If you add it all up the way ULA has it listed out, you'll get a total capacity of about 70.2 liters or 4,283 cubic inches. However, if you think a mistake was made between the capacity listed for the hip belt pockets and the side pockets, and you add those up together as combined capacities, then you're going to come out with, on the lower end, at 62 liters. So again, I'm not sure where a mistake may have been made. So either way, just know that you're going to get at least 60 something liters of total capacity on the pack. And of course, I'm good with that. All right, moving on to the materials of the pack. ULA uses a 400 denier Robic nylon for the main body and most portions of the pack. But as mentioned, on the stowaway pocket, it is a 4-way stretch Lycra mesh. And then on the parts of the pack that actually make contact with your body, that's the inside of the shoulder straps, the back panel, and the hip belt. Those are all enclosed in a spacer mesh. Now with that 400 Robic nylon, that's going to mean the main body of your pack is going to be very, very resistant to tears and abrasion. In other words, that fabric is just very, very strong and durable. Now the front mesh pocket, however, you're going to want to be a little bit more careful with that. It is certainly pretty resistant to light pressure abrasion, such as when you're just leaning the pack up against some rocks and whatnot. However, if you ever find yourself in a tight space, like my wife and I did while on a trip in Capitol Reef National Park last year, where we had to sneak through between a fence post and a sandstone wall, we found out that the stretch mesh of that front pocket isn't so strong in that situation. It did tear a little small hole in it and fray out a little bit. So there is a little bit of damage on her pack from that. Note to self, always take your pack off and remove it and pass it through separately when you have to fit through a tight space. The Robic material that the standard models of the circuit are made of also have a DWR coating on the exterior and a polyurethane or PU coating on the interior. These are sufficient for protecting the pack and helping to keep it dry in light rain and even moderately heavy rain, so long as it's only for a short duration. However, it should be noted here that like most packs out there, the seams inside are not seam sealed or taped. So it is advised that you carry anything sensitive to moisture inside a pack liner inside your pack, especially if there's a threat of encountering any prolonged rain or any other extreme humid conditions. Let's talk about the weight of that pack. Another pretty important factor for a lot of people when considering their packs that they're going to buy. This pack is listed to be 36.6 ounces when it's shipped, and that is the stated weight for a medium torso and a medium hip belt. However, though, my pack, when I weighed it as they currently ship, mine ended up coming in a few ounces heavier at 39.2 ounces according to my scale. And that's with a medium torso and a small hip belt for my pack. So why the difference? I don't know. But what I do know is that there is a way to reduce the pack weight by 4.4 ounces by removing the following. You can take out that aluminum stay, that'll drop 1.7 ounces. You take out the suspension hoop, that'll drop 1.2 ounces. And you can even go so far as taking out the back foam panel to remove an additional 1.5 ounces from the pack. And that will give you a fully frameless pack that'll weigh 32.2 ounces according to the listed weight of the 36.6 ounces. If you still want to go lower and want to get extreme, you can drop another full 8 ounces off the pack by removing the hip belt. But wait, there's more. You can even drop off another whole 1 ounce by removing the front bungee and the Ice X or trekking pole loop hardware, being the cord lock on those. So altogether, that would enable you to achieve an absolute minimum weight of roughly 24.3 ounces. My pack's weight came in much closer this time around at 24.7 ounces for its lowest possible weight. The max load. ULA recommends no more than about 35 pounds that can be safely and comfortably supported with the circuit. However, they do state that you're going to be better off if you can hold your base weight down to about 15 pounds, but I think you could get away with up to a 20-pound base weight and be okay, especially on a weekend trip where you might want to carry a couple little luxuries with you. All right, let's move in to some fun stuff, and that is customization. First off, ULA does give you the option to choose between various sizes for the torso. So you can choose between a small, which will cover torso lengths of 15 to 18 inches, a medium, which will cover lengths 18 to 21 inches, a large, for those with torso lengths of 24 to 24 inches, and they will even make an extra large, which I assume would be a custom length one. Now for the hip belt, they make an XS or extra small hip belt, made for those with a waistline of 26 to 30 inches. They have a small for those with a 30 to 34 inch waist, a medium for those at 34 to 38 inches, a large size at 38 to 42 inches, and even on up to XL at 42 to 47 inches. And then there's an XXL option as well. Again, I assume that would be more of a custom made belt if your waistline does exceed over 47 inches. Now for the shoulder straps. There's a couple choices there as well. They offer a J-cut strap, which is more of the traditional cut or shaped strap, and these are good for average built men generally. However, they also offer an S-cut strap, which is certainly suggested for those with a female body type, or even those with a larger, more athletic body type among men. And really, I think the S strap can be good for just about any body type. I'm not very large. In fact, I'm quite thin, though I do have a pretty defined build for a thin guy. And I was told that the S strap would work really well for me as well, so that's what I ended up going with on my pack. And honestly, I've tried it on against my packs with traditional J-cut straps, and it just doesn't feel very different. Still just as comfortable as the traditional style strap. More information about sizing and these options can be found simply by referring to ULA's website at ula-equipment.com. Then of course, with the circuit, you have a variety of colors that you can choose from. With the base model, currently they offer black, classic green, royal blue, purple, and teal. However, there are even more colors available to choose from if you enter into their customizer portal. That's right, ULA offers a really cool little customization tool that lets you choose from a greater variety of colors, including some camouflage patterns. It allows you to mix and match colors between different sections and panels on the pack and other components of the pack. Now, this feature is not just available for the Circuit, but it's available for a handful of other packs that ULA offers. While here, you can also add a Y strap in place of the I strap for added security if you anticipate needing to strap on something like a heavy bear canister, which can certainly slip out from underneath the standard I strap when given enough back and forth motion. Again, the pack is so large and spacious that it can comfortably hold most any bear canister out there on the market anyways. So the only other things you might need to be strapping onto the outside is a tent or a sleeping pad, and those should be pretty lightweight anyways. So in those cases with those lighter weight, larger items that you might need to strap to the outside of your pack, the single I-style strap does seem to be pretty sufficient. You can also have a pair of straps added to the bottom of your pack if you desire for holding anything like a sleeping pad at the bottom of your pack. Now you should keep in mind that some of the colors and patterns offered do come in different fabrics from the more robust 400D Robic nylon that ULA uses on all their base models. If you have any questions about those other materials when not specified otherwise, you can certainly reach out to ULA's customer service and consult with them. And just as a real life example of what can be done with the customizer tool, here is my wife's pack again. As you can see, it's been made of various different bright colors. She's a lover of bright colors, and I always tease her when we go out on a trip together that she's going to be the one who attracts all the bees and the hummingbirds. Now, if you use the customizer tool to further personalize and customize your pack in such a manner, ULA will charge you an additional $50 on top of the base price of the Circuit pack, and you'll also be charged a $35 restocking fee for any returns of such personalized customized packs. Furthermore, ULA also offers an additional embroidery service if you want to personalize your pack even further. That's right, they are willing to embroider something like your trail name or any other phrase that you want embroidered and embedded into your pack. That costs an additional $15 for that service. And again, that will also be charged a $35 restocking fee if you return any such pack with the embroidery service done to it. But hey, it's like having a custom license plate on your pack. Now, one other thing to note that since the time that my wife and I purchased our packs, ULA has since rolled out a limited batch of X-Pack circuits. And they are available in a variety of colors and X-Pack fabric types as well. And yet it looks like you can even go further and customize X-Pack model packs that they have with their customizer tool. However, they're going to charge you not $50 extra for that, but $70 on top of the base price. So that will get pretty pricey at that point, but for those who really want to explore those customizable options, it might be worth it to you. Now, speaking of costs, let's talk cost for a moment. The base model of the ULA Circuit is currently listed for $279.99. For their X-Pack model, those are now selling for a listed price of $319.99. Again, both these packs are available for purchase at ULA's website, ula-equipment.com. Now, there are some select and limited stores in a few states across the country that actually stock ULA packs in their inventory. So if you happen to live in one of those areas, you can actually go into the store there and try out the different ULA packs that they carry and see them up close and in person before purchasing one. Let's move on and talk about some of the items that I really, really love and that stand out to me about this pack. You know, as mentioned in the features, it's just got big pockets all the way around. Not only does it have that fairly spacious interior space, it's got those spacious side pockets, and I really, really love the spacious hip belt pockets for my camera and extra little camera batteries and even a wide angle lens that can fit on my camera. and that all fits easily in one pocket. And then in my other pocket, I like to put things like my sunscreen, lip balm, bug repellent, maybe a snack bar or two. Now, speaking of the hip belt and its spacious pockets, I like how the hip belt can actually be removed, and then that hip belt with those big pockets can actually function like a fanny pack of sorts. You can even purchase little water bottle holders out there that can slide over the pack and be able to take a water bottle with you. So I think that's pretty convenient. And then we already talked about the removable frame components. I just think it's really cool that not only can you remove the more rigid components of the frame from the interior of the pack, but also that padding in the back panel, and truly achieve a fully frameless pack, which allows one who wants to experiment with frameless backpacks to be able to do so without committing to purchasing a pack that is truly frameless from the get-go. I also just really enjoy the overall fit and comfort of the pack. It seems to ride really well for the most of the time when I have it out, and I just love how it can take real small loads and make those lightweight loads feel extremely comfortable. But I also love that it can support heavier loads when I need it to, such as when I go out on longer multi-day trips and I need to carry a lot of extra weight because of all the extra food that I need to take, or if I'm going out with any of my kids and I need to carry some extra gear for them. So I just love how versatile and functional the pack is. I think it just achieves a really great balance between a simple yet very functional and very versatile design. And now for some things that I don't quite love so much about the pack. First of all, for as tough and robust as the Robic nylon is, well, it's still nylon, and nylon is hydrophilic. This means that under prolonged rain and heavy humid conditions, this pack is prone to absorb quite a bit of moisture and water weight, and that's just a fact of life with nylon. And of course I experienced that myself at the tail end of my week-long trip in the Wind River Mountains last summer, where I did noticeably feel a little bit of extra weight in my pack. Now, of course, most backpacks out there are made with roughly about a square yard of material or thereabouts, so it's not going to take on that much extra water weight, but it is something to be aware of. Now, if I was back in the market with a little bit more money to spend, I probably would give a little bit more consideration to the X-Pack version of the circuit. However, even then, I do live out here in the Mountain West where it's pretty arid throughout most of the year, and that means there's a lot of sunshine, and so the pack does tend to dry out pretty quickly when it does wet through, and thankfully those occasions where it does wet through are actually pretty rare. But if there is ever another trip where there's a threat of encountering high humidity and prolonged rain, well, I think I'd consider carrying a pack cover for that kind of trip and see how much of a difference it can make in preventing the pack from absorbing extra moisture. Of course, all bets are off when it comes to the shoulder straps, the back panel, and the hip belt, because the only way to really shield those from taking in a lot of water would probably be to wear a rain poncho instead of a jacket. Another thing that might be a struggle for most is being able to reach back and easily grab your water bottle from either of the side pockets, if that's where you prefer to store your water. So instead, I usually just end up slipping one arm out of a shoulder strap to make it easier to reach around and grab a water bottle from the opposite side, and then be able to slip the water bottle back into the pocket when I'm finished. Now, there are a few other things worth noting here, but I don't think any of them are going to be really any major deal breakers for most people. So the first of those items is that the side pockets do have a little bit of a hole. So some people have found that they've lost some real small items through those holes. So you just want to be careful not to pack anything that small that could risk slipping through and being lost on the trail. Now, if ULA were to add in some elastic along the edge of this hole to allow it to expand a little bit, it would make for a great side entry into the side pocket, allowing for a slim water bottle to slip through. This would make it much easier and more convenient to grab a water bottle from the side pocket and solve that struggle I mentioned just a moment ago. All right, the second thing is the back panel. It's just simply not one of those ventilated kind of back panels. So because it makes so much contact with your back, it makes full contact with your back actually, it's just going to probably give most people a very sweaty back. But for me, that's just comes with the territory. It's part of the game. And that's just going to be the case with most any pack of this style. And speaking of the back panel, there is another thing to note regarding the back panel, and that is with the spacer mesh that it's made of, and really all parts of the pack that make contact with your body, so the inside of your shoulder straps and the hip belt as well. That spacer mesh is prone to collecting and holding on to things like pine needles and other debris like that. So you just want to be, again, careful where you set the pack. Definitely don't want to be laying it down on its backside in areas where there's a lot of pine needles and other debris that can stick to it like that. Otherwise, you might find your back getting poked and irritated quite a bit when you go to put that pack back on. So I would probably suggest packing along a fine-tipped pair of tweezers to have on hand just in case. All right, so in conclusion, does the circuit still live up to its hype? Is it still a contender against so much other competition out there now? My simple answer to you, in my opinion, is yes. I think so. I think it continues to be a popular pack, especially for PCT thru hikers, because of that versatility between its ability to hold extra gear when needed and support extra weight when needed. This is especially the case with the bare canisters that are required to take along middle sections of the PCT. Of course, that adds weight and bulk to the pack. The southern sections where there can be long stretches between water sources and you have to carry a lot of extra water. And again, that's going to increase the capacity demand and the ability to support all that extra weight. There might be some extra long stretches between resupply stops where you do have to carry, well, extra food. And of course, that's going to add more bulk and weight demands to your pack. Add to that a rather simple and time-proven design made with excellent craftsmanship and materials that are, well, tough as rocks. And I think you've got a real winner here in the ULA circuit. Not only is it great for thru hikers, especially PCT thru hikers, but I also think it's a great option for weekend warrior adventurers like myself, or if you're someone like me who likes to go out in the desert a lot and there might be certain trips where you're going to have to carry a lot of extra water and all that weight that comes with it due to just the scarcity of those water sources or how poor they can be at times. Another great person the circuit could be a good option for is if you're a parent, also like me, and you just have some extra gear that you're going to be carrying for a young child who you're going to take on a little trip with you. And again, in that situation, the extra space and weight support is going to come in handy that the circuit can give you. I just think the circuit is a great kind of an all-purpose, all-around, jack-of-all-trades kind of a backpack. And as mentioned, not to be outdone by competitors offering their packs in higher tech and more water-resistant and even waterproof fabrics, the ULA does offer the circuit made with X-Pack materials. So if you're looking for more water resistance, you can, of course, get the circuit in the X-Pack. So given all that, I do think the circuit will remain a viable option for the foreseeable future for all kinds of backpacking trips and all kinds of terrain. So for now, guys, that's going to wrap up this review. I hope it's been thoroughly helpful and informative to anyone out there considering the circuit as their next pack. If you have any other questions about the pack, don't hesitate to ask. Leave them in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and do subscribe for those future videos that I'll be releasing. You won't want to miss those as well. And appreciate your support. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video. In the meantime, happy hiking.